Chris, you're up. Who needs to get their stuff together?
Oh gosh, it is funny. You know what? I'm gonna go to a team that, again, I don't have high expectations here, but it needs to look better. All right, and that's where I'm gonna go with the Carolina Panthers, and just the overall look of Bryce Young. That's to me the thing that you got to sell and keep building here, and you'd like it to look a little bit better in preseason week 3 to just get the bad taste out of your mouth, get some positive things going, have your team go, oh, look what he did. Look at this success. Ooh, we're ready for week 1. We can do that. So that's one where they haven't protected him well, and he hasn't looked great, certainly not like the number 1 pick, and they haven't really sustained any big-time drives yet. They're my first pick, Mike.
And look, we're focusing this on the last week of the preseason, but there isn't a whole lot of work that's going to be done by the starters in the last week of the preseason. So I'm just being more general here. The Rams need to get their offensive line figured out. They don't know where they're going to play Joe Noteboom. He hasn't been practicing. Is he going to be guard? Is he going to be tackle? They want their best 5 out there. How good are their best 5? And their offense isn't going to be able to do anything if they don't have better performance out of their offensive line than they did last year. And I don't know how much they can do between now and week 1 when they play Seattle in Seattle, but they got to get that figured out, Chris.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, you got an aging quarterback. They couldn't run the ball last year, and pass protection was, I would say it was the worst in football. It was pitiful. It really was. And they got no chance with Matthew Stafford if they don't give him a little time. But they got to figure that out. And you're right. We don't have great expectations for that football team in general. The next one I think I'm going to go with here, and just because I'd want to see more, or I'm interested to see how they approach this preseason game 3, but this is something that still needs to be worked out, is the Chicago Bears and Justin Fields. Week 1 didn't play. Week 1 did play, but only threw 3 passes, and the average length of those passes was behind the line of scrimmage. Right, so he didn't. Even though it was great for the offense, I think if Luke Getsy had it back, he'd go, "Damn, I wish we didn't break 2 50-yard screen passes for a touchdown, and we got to throw the ball a little bit more." So that's a part of the puzzle, or piece of the puzzle, or whatever there in Chicago. That, hey, we think they'll be better running the football, but still, we know Justin Fields has to be better throwing the football within the pocket, and he hasn't got a ton of live reps doing that in the preseason. So I would think they do that a little bit here in preseason 3, so he feels a little more comfortable come week 1.
During the Thursday night game between the Browns and the Eagles, Deshaun Watson was interviewed. He said he'd like to play a quarter of the preseason finale. After the game, Coach Kevin Stefanski said he's not supposed to blurt that out. We don't know what the plan is. Look, they got to figure out what they're going to get from Deshaun Watson. Everything in Cleveland this year is riding on maximizing Deshaun Watson. And if it doesn't work, he won't be gone next year. Others will. And we talked about Billy O earlier. We've said this a few times. He's the most obvious guy that Jimmy Haslam should be thinking about bringing in if the current staff can't maximize Deshaun Watson, because O'Brien has done it before in Houston. They got to get that offense figured out. They got to get Deshaun Watson figured out and be ready to go. And it'll be interesting to see how much we see him in the preseason finale as they try to get him to the point where he's ready to do the best he can as they face the Bengals, maybe without Joe Burrow, to start the season.
Yeah. I mean, they got a chance here. And you're right. We haven't seen Watson in an extended period of time. He did, look positive, at least in that second preseason game. But, yeah, they need to hit the ground running in that division, like you're saying. And I'm interested to see in the formula in which they play in. A great running football team, and it just seems like they might go out of their way to be in the shotgun and throw the ball just because of that Watson contract. All right. I picked 2 teams that were, we don't expect a lot in the Panthers and Bears, or at least I don't expect them to be in the Super Bowl conversation. I'm going to pick one team that I am going to put in the Super Bowl conversation. I know it's the preseason. I get that. But it still didn't look great so far. And that's the Buffalo Bills. I mean, I don't know how you can watch that game the other night in Buffalo. I don't give a crap if it's preseason or not. I don't. They couldn't protect Josh Allen. They couldn't run the football. And it was back to Josh, make the miraculous happen, and then we'll score some points. And that's just not sustainable. And then the defense got steamrolled by Pittsburgh and didn't look that great the week before, even against Anthony Richardson and the Colts. So I'm a little concerned about their look right now.
There was that one play where Josh Allen looked like he was just running desperately. He didn't look like Josh Allen. It just everything was falling apart, and it wasn't a good look for the Buffalo offense. And you're right. They may have some. Yeah. They got a lot to do to get to where they're trying to get this year. Last one for me, the Buccaneers quarterback situation. We don't know who the hell the starter is going to be. Right. Why don't they name a starter? I don't get it. It makes no sense. I was thinking about it yesterday. I was talking to somebody about it. It makes no sense that they just don't go ahead and name a starter. And the thinking is, because last year in Seattle, they waited until after the final preseason game to name Geno Smith the starter. Dave Canales was there as the quarterback's coach, that they want to do the same thing this year. Just make it known who your guy is and get him ready for week 1 and maybe get him some reps in the preseason finale. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.